Hello guys, welcome back again to my channel, Dami Dimension. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a joggers pant, and this is going to be very easy because I have a basic trouser pattern already on my channel, and that is what I have right here in front of me. So if you don't know how to draft a basic trouser pattern yet, please check out that video. It's going to pop up at the end of this video, or just type Dami Dimension trouser pattern. You will see it. It's that video that everyone literally wants to watch. It's got over 1.5 million views, so you have to watch that. It has helped a lot of people, so I hope it's going to help you too. So in order not to make this video long, I have drafted that same basic trouser pattern that I have in that video on this table. It is exact same thing. The only difference is that it does not have a zipper fly because we are not having a zipper on our joggers, so just completely ignore the zipper fly part. And the pocket, my pocket is not shown here as well. I drafted it out separately. It's exact same thing as that video. I'm going to be telling you the adjustment that we're going to make into this in order to achieve our joggers pant. The key thing about joggers pant, the difference between the joggers pant and the basic pant, is just that we need to add volume, and the volume needs to be added in the right places, and that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you in today's video. So let's jump right into it. The very first modification we are going to be making to this basic trouser pattern is going to be around the waistline right here. As you can see, my dart is included here, but you are going to completely ignore it. It's going to be part of your trouser, but we are not going to be sewing in the dart. Okay, so what you're going to do is, this is where my waistline starts, right? This is my waist from here to here. So from this line, this is the line of our side seam. So from that side seam line, I'm going to be taking 1 inch. So that's from here 1 inch this way, and my 1 inch stops here, and that's just to add volume to the waist, because we're not going to be having zipper, we're going to be having elastic band to gather it together. So we need the pant to be able to pass through our hip when you wear it. So that's why we add that 1 inch. So I'm going to extend my waistline now to touch that 1 inch, and from that point I'm also going to draw a straight line just to flush in with my hip line right here, just like that. So that means we don't need this line anymore, and we don't also need this one. So this is our new side seam now. If you follow that basic trouser pattern that I asked you to watch, if you've used that video to make a pant, you realize that it's a little bit loose. That's exactly what you want. Okay, I had to take in a little bit of excess from mine in order to achieve the trouser that I made with that pattern, but in this case we need that excess because the joggers needs to be baggy a little bit. Okay, so once this is done now, I am simply going to move to my hemline. So on my hemline as well, you know, some people make their joggers just normal length, but it doesn't have that jogger effect. So you want to have that extra pull up. You know, when you have your band at the ankle, you want to be able to have a little bit of pull up, and you know, that's extra. So that's what we are going to be achieving here. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to be extending my hemline or ankle line. I'm going to be extending by 1 inch. By the way guys, this pattern completely has no seam allowance at all at this point. No hemming allowance, no side seam allowance, no seam allowance at all. So from my ankle line, I added that 1 inch, and I'm going to simply connect that and extend my trouser to meet up with that line, just like that. So we want it to be longer, and mind you, we are still going to be adding a band. We are going to be adding a cuff to that at the down here. So that's what I personally want. If you don't want yours to be that long, if you don't want the puffiness on the down area to be that much, then you can ignore this and just simply add your cuff to your ankle line. I'm going to be showing you the cuff pattern later. So that is it for now. So now that this is done, we are almost done with the front. The next thing I'm going to do is to trim off my band allowance, because this trouser pattern right here is a little bit of a high waist. I'm going to be cutting off 1.5 inch. So I'll connect that, and I'm going to be trimming it off later. However, I took away 1.5 inch now, but I'm going to be using a 2 inches band. So that way my trouser is going to be coming up by extra 1/2 inch. This is my choice. If you don't want yours to come up by extra 1/2 inch at all, then instead of 1.5 inch that I took here, you should take 2 inches. Okay, so that is basically it. I'm simply going to cut out this pattern. So this is my finished front pattern. I will set it aside and I'm going to be showing you the back and also the modification we're going to be doing to it. So I have my back pattern here, guys, and it's going to be exact same modification like we did to the front. Remember, this also has no seam allowance at all. I also have my dart included in here, but I didn't draft it out because I'm not going to be sewing it on this joggers pant. So I'm going to be extending here as well by 1 inch, and I will extend that waistline to touch up with that 1 inch, and I will also draw this one all the way to my hip line. And also here I'm going to be taking away 1.5 inch, which I'm going to be replacing with my band, just like we did for the front. So then I will move to my hemline, and just like we did for the front, I will take 1 inch, adding 1 inch to the ankle line, and I will extend this to meet up with it, just like that. It is super easy. And because the pattern I drafted in that basic trouser video is a bit loose, like I said, that is why it's perfect for this project. If you have a basic trouser pattern that fits you exactly, then you need to choose a basic trouser pattern that is 1 size larger than you before you make this adjustment that I just showed to you. Okay, so I am done now, and I'm going to also cut it out. So this is what my back is also looking like, and I already show you my pocket pattern. It's the same as I had, it's the same like we have on that basic trouser pattern video. Okay, and because we trimmed 1.5 inch away from my waistline, also trim 1.5 inch away from your pocket and pocket facing of that pattern if you're using that exact pattern. Okay, and you are going to be achieving exactly as I have right now. So here is my waistband, and it's just a straight rectangular piece, and this is the size and how I got the size. So I took my front pattern and the back pattern, and I measured what I have on the waistline. So from here to here measures 10.25, and I'm just going to add from there. I'll place that 10.25 here and also measure to here. So that means both of them gives me 21. So in other words, the measurement of my waistline on the front plus the measurement of my waistline on the back is 21, and this is what I have right here, 21 inches, and I made the width to be 5 inches. So I'm going to be cutting this on fold, and that is going to go around my waist, and I'm going to be folding it over like this, and that's why I have 5 inches. I fold it over like this when I stitch, and by the time I stitch it with 1/2 inch, I'm going to be left with 2 inches band. And for my cuff, similarly, go to the ankle of your front pattern and the ankle of your back pattern. You measure what you have on the ankle right here. So here, what I have here on the ankle of the front plus what I have on the ankle of my back, that gives me 14 inches, as you can see. And if you measure what I have as a span of my cuff from this inner line to this inner line, 14 inches. Okay, and then this and this is just seam allowance of 1/2 inch, and this is not going to be on fold. It's already a complete pattern. The only pattern I'm going to be adding seam allowance to now is my front and back panel. So I'm going to cut on my fabric now, so I will show you, and then we are going to be joining this joggers together. So here is my fabric all cut out. As you can see, this is my front, and I have 2 pieces of it, and as you can see, I have my 1/2 inch seam allowance going all around it. And here is my back. The same way, I have 2 pieces of the back as well, and also my 1/2 inch seam allowance is also running all around it. And then I have my waistband and no seam allowance because the seam allowance is already added to my pattern. And here is my cuff, also 2 pieces, and there is no extra seam allowance because seam allowance is already added to my pattern as well. And here is my pocket and pocket facing. I have 2 pieces of the pocket and 2 pieces of the pocket facing as well. And here I have 1/2 inch seam allowance here and 1/2 inch seam allowance here. So that's basically all the cutting. But take note that if you followed my basic trouser pattern and you already have your seam allowance on the pattern like I did in that video, then you don't have to add extra inch around your pattern like I did here. All right, so now I'm going to start joining. I'm starting with my back. You can actually start with the front. So take off my pattern, and as it is already right sides facing each other, and I'm going to be joining on my crotch line using my 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'll be repeating the same to my front as well, and I'm also going to join on the crotch by 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right, so as you can see, I have stitched the crotch line here, and next I'm going to be working on my pocket. So I'll bring in the pocket facing and I'll place it like this, making sure that it matches at the waistline and also at the side seam right here. So I just want to use it to trace off here because this part should not be on our front trouser. So I'm just going to cut. So now that that's out of the way, then I am going to start joining the pocket to the trouser. So when I open my front trouser, this is what I have because it's been joined on the crotch. And now I will have take away my pattern, and these are my 2 pocket facing. Here is my right side. I will just place it here. Doesn't matter which one goes to which side, but the most important thing is for you to find right side has to face each other, and the shape, you see this shape, it just goes right here. I know this fabric is a bit busy and super colorful, but I hope it's not going to be confusing and still clear for you. That's why I'm trying to slow down so you guys can see where I'm placing it and what I'm doing. So once it's there on both sides, I'm going to be all right, so that has been done. Oops. Okay, so I have done that. As you can see, I have done that seam top stitch, and here's a line right here. It's right there, guys. I hope you can see it. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do, I'll bring in my pocket facing or pocket bag. With this curvy edge right here. When you place it right, you will feel it. It's just like this, and then I need to be stitching both of them together like this by 1/2 inch. And once I'm done doing that and I flip it to the wrong side, this is what it's going to be looking like. So once the pocket is done, this is what I have. So next I am going to bring in my back panel, which I already stitched on the crotch earlier like I showed to you. Then I will place both of them together like this, right sides facing each other, and I will match them all together on the side, and I will do the same on the other side. So then I will take it to my machine, I will stitch it down all the way here by my seam allowance or whatever you think is going to make it fit, and I will do the same one here on this side, stitch it to fit, and also here on the crotch I will stitch it also to fit all the way. So now I have done the side stitches and also the inseam stitches, and this is what the trouser is looking like, all coming together as you can see. So I'm going to now stitch because my pocket is still opened this way here. So in order to stitch down the pocket, I'll just place a little bit of stitch here to stitch down the pocket onto my front, only onto the front. I will repeat the same on here as well. And once that is done, then we are going to be working on our band. So I'll set this aside. I'll bring in my band. I cut the band on fold like I said in the beginning of the video. So I'll flip my band as it is this way, right side facing each other, and I will stitch here. So that stitch has been done as you can see. So then I'm going to flip it this way, just fold it into two horizontally in a way that the stitch line stays inside. So once I'm done folding it, I'll grab my trouser and I'm going to start pinning it and I'll put it inside like this. Then I will start matching it, making sure that the stitch line on the band matches with my center back. So I will pin it all around this way, then I will take it to my machine and I will stitch it all the way around. I will join them together, leaving a space where I can pass in my elastic band. And for my elastic band, this is what I'm using. It is 2 inches wide. Then I'll cut out the span of my waist measurement, and then you're going to be passing it in through the channel. So then I will take the 2 ends to my machine, I will stitch it down, and this is the time that if you feel that your elastic band is too long, this is the time to cut it short. And once you're done doing that, let it go inside, and then you go ahead and finish up this opening and close up the opening like this. I'm also going to cut elastic band for my cuff, and I'm using 8 inches. I'll cut out 2 pieces of those.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight.